Hello, everybody. LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Periscope family. Today, we're going to talk about something really important that I heard some days ago from Alon voice, which is emotional relevance. If you want to know deeply, truly what this is and how it can help you, please stay tuned because we'll be back in a moment. Hello. So today we're going to talk about emotion relevance with this guy, amazing guy, Alon, which I met some days before on a amazing meeting, online meeting with our big friend, and a big shout out to him, Marcello, actually, which allows us to meet each other. So one thing you should be aware about online world is that you should allow yourself to make some things that you're not used to do, so you can meet nice people, as I met the last Thursday, like alone, and see nice things, nice ways to see the world, and nice knowledge which should be shared. So I'm here. I have Alon in on the basement. I left him with a glass of water and one cookie. I'm gonna bring him to the screen. Okay. Now we are.
I finished all the cookies, Marco.
You just have one.
It was good.
Yeah, perfect.
How are you, my friend?
I'm great, and you, Alon. Thank you so much for being here.
Of course.
It was amazing that meeting where we met. I think it's well. First of all, please introduce yourself, and then we can talk about this. I'm coming up because I think it connects perfectly with the topic of today. What do you think?
My name is Alon Zaibert, as you said. I grew up originally in Israel, but moved to the US almost 20 years ago. I live outside Atlanta. Just like in your opening words, my big thing is people, is connection. And I studied it for years. All my life, my friends used to tell me, "Oh my God, how did you make this guy feel that way? How did you impact this?" And for me, I just was me. And so the last few years, I kind of try to figure it out. And with the eruption, with the growth of emotional intelligence, EQ in the world, I kind of took an element of it and became the master of emotional relevance, and used it with sales, with customer relationships, and every element possible to enhance relationship.
Perfect. Well, we have some some people say hello. Olá, Dulce, boa noite. Bem-vinda. Well, Alon, I think it's good to talk about this because I think it was what happened. The magic somehow happened last week was because all of us allowed ourselves to make something I think we're not used to, or maybe we are, but one day we before doing this we were not, which is meet some people which we don't know from anything, and let's see how to connect with them, how we can help each other and everything. So I think it's important, if you want to impact, allow yourself to be open to that, and to meet some maybe strange people.
Yeah.
Right? What do you think?
First of all, personally, my colleagues and people who worked with me say that I'm the kind of guy, there's a saying in English, the kind of guy that never met a stranger, right? And I think you're the same, right? We can talk to anyone. But here's the interesting thing. The interesting thing is that most people by far, right? Most people by far actually need that, right? We need it. It's science, it's psychology. We need the feeling of belonging, the feeling of together, right? The challenge is that in the modern world today, they're teaching us not to share emotions, right? God forbid I meet you and 30 minutes later, I want to tell you, Marco, I like you. And I would like to be a friend, your friend. And I would love to meet with you tomorrow because the modern world, the Western world is telling us, oh no, this is weird. There's something there. But we all want it. So when you develop a business relationship and you get to a point where it's okay to open up, it's still only one-on-one on the side, right? I can't say in the boardroom or in a meeting something, God forbid I will hug somebody, right? Because I want to, and he would like it as well, or she would like it as well, which is a whole different story, right? So emotional relevance, touches something that is built in us, right? But it triggers something that is engraved in our mind from past experience. Okay? I want to give you a small example. And this is for anybody listening. Where were you when the Twin Towers got hit in New York?
Oh, don't remember that because it was. I will tell
Yeah.
my birthday in September 10th. On that particular birthday, I get so drunk, my friend. My God. And then I wake up. I remember this. I wake up and my sister called my mom because my sister lives in Oporto. I'm in Viana do Castelo. It's about 70 kilometers or something. And they were talking, and my mother was, oh my God, where is that? Really? A plane? A crashed on a building? Oh my God. In New York? Oh. And then I turned off on the television. I start doing all that stuff. I turned off the TV and I thought, oh my God, I'm still drunk.
So, Marco, when you just told me this story, did you feel anything emotional?
Yeah, absolutely.
You kind of re-experienced that.
Yeah,
And science proved to us that when we go through an emotional experience, we remember it. We remember the details. You remember exactly who you called, when, what was the color of the wall in the room or something. If I asked you what you had for breakfast last Tuesday, you have no idea, right?
absolutely.
Not only because you were drunk, but because it wasn't emotional, right? So one of the things that I'm working with business people, and it doesn't matter really which business, when you have a relationship with customers, is how to teach them how to create that emotional experience when they talk to their customer. I call it the emotional anchor, right? But then the ability to trigger it again and again and again, just like I did with you now. Whether it's through an email 2 weeks later, whether it's through a phone call, now we have something that we experience together. You and I will always have that first time we met on Marcello's show and we laughed, and because laughter is an emotional thing, we experience something together. We always can go back and memorize that.
Perfect. It's amazing because one thing I wanted to ask you, because there are people that we don't want to, or the willing of doing that kind of impact, it's not the same, right? So for instance, uh, we don't have, I think we don't have the same intention to doing this. How can we first understand which people are more interesting to us, and then, because I think there are different dimensions of impact and different ways to impact different people, I think.
No, listen, for sure, that's a great question. First of all, I'm a big believer in our instincts, right? If you truly ask somebody, right? To be completely honest. And this is something you should do with yourself. Ask yourself, be honest with yourself. You know what you feel about this person when you met them. You know what you feel. It's called gut feeling, right? You feel it down here. You know. But when you're in business relationship and you want your customer, right, then the power, the tool that I am teaching you is how to control that and how to impact them, right? And there are many ways to do it. I want to do a quick exercise with you. Is that okay?
Let's go.
I want to show you the power of emotional relevance with storytelling and how it elevates the value of what you're offering. I have a coin in my hand. This is a $1 coin. $1. Okay? You want it?
Okay.
How much are you willing to pay for it?
90 cents.
That's okay. That's okay. If we ask the people in the audience right now how much they're willing to pay for it, maybe I can push them with my sales capability to $1.20, right? Maybe. Now let me tell you a story. Many years ago, when I grew up in Israel, I had a good friend. His name was Moshe, right? My best friend. We grew up, played basketball together, spent many days and nights together, right? Dear friend. And 1993, right, I left Israel to go to the US. I went to college in California, and he couldn't join me. He said, I want to join you. We can play together in college basketball, right? And I will join you in the second semester. And he said, take this coin, save it for good luck, and give it back to me when I come to see you in a few months. 3 months after I left, Moshe and 3 other friends drove from a vacation in the south of Israel, and they got into a car crash and ran into a truck, and they died. All 4 of them died on the spot. Marco, let me ask you a question. How much do you think this coin is worth for me now?
A lot.
Okay. And how many people who are listening to us now have gone through some chills, right? That technique, while the story is true and everything is true, it's a technique when we offer something, if we make it personal and if we add a story to it, right? We are being vulnerable, right? We create an emotional experience for our customer. And this scientifically and psychologically been proved to enhance the trust, which is eventually all we want from our customers, right? The trust. Once you have the trust, right, it's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I'm saying all the time to people, what you're selling, it's because they trust you. Otherwise, they won't buy you. Well, okay, if you have some chewing gums, maybe, or gasoline, maybe they will buy you, but it's not a trust relation. So I think it's because one thing I came up, because I'm always thinking about marketing and things, and there are 3 dimensions when you're paying. One, it's the price. It's there. It's there, $90. Another thing, it's the cost, because for instance, when you pay something, then you have to spend some times to go there, buy it, or for instance, you have to learn how to work with that. And at the end, that's the value, which is, what do I get from that?
Exactly. That's exactly right. I want to tell you something. 15, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, when we used to buy insurance or even cars, right? We would have a relationship with the salesperson, right? You would have to buy insurance. You would have to meet with your insurance guy 4 or 5 times. You would know, even if you travel, right? You would have a relationship with the travel agent, etc. In today's world with technology, All of these things have become a commodity. So to sell insurance today, it's 2 clicks online, right? You don't need the relationship. And so the sophisticated salespeople have gone up to sell sophisticated solutions, right? But still, in order for us to get the value, like you were saying, everybody needs to understand the value through that emotion that is not triggered as much as anymore. Right? You understand what I'm saying? It's if you can take and by the way, the retail stores and big companies, they know it, they understand it, right? There's a lot of science around it. It's a challenge today because we don't notice it anymore, right? And those who can take advantage of it, that's a great advantage today.
So there's another thing. I'm struggling almost every day, which is that great thing for me. It's a really great thing that it's the corporate language. So we were born in I don't know when we have, and then we in the last 2 years we changed our headquarters, and now we have an amazing building with I don't know uh, glasses, blah blah blah, and laser things, and no matter what. And then we forget everything that connects with people. Because, for instance, if I go, hello, hello, Alon, I was born in '77, and you say, and what?
Yeah. See, isn't it terrible, Marco, that there's like a facade, right? A corporate facade, which is almost like a show, right? Like a make believe, right? You're not being yourself. And so if you're aware of that and you can, in a subtle way, be a little different. I'll give you another example. I did a presentation to a university, students in Florida a few months ago. And I taught them how to nail their interview, that they're looking for a job now, nail their interview with using emotional relevance, right? Never mind the whole details of it, but one thing that is important there. I told them, let's say you make it to the top 3 candidates, and the hiring manager is looking at the resume, right? And everybody has the same structure resume, everybody dressed the same, everybody had to follow those guidelines that you talked about. But if you could be just a little bit different and take them through an emotional experience of sort, doesn't matter how right now. Maybe during the interview you said something, maybe on your resume there's a little sentence that is not so much ordinary, it's more personable and more something like that, but you're a little different and you created that emotional experience that just like I did with you with the coin. When they look at the 3 and it all looks the same to them, who do you think they're going to be choosing? The one that made them feel a little different. So I'm with you 1,000%, my friend. Absolutely 1,000%. The corporate facade, call it. It's yes, it's a challenge.
Yeah, and it doesn't connect, I think, because even though he was, I think it was not the perfect guy, of course. If I ask an audience, for instance, with 500, doesn't matter how many people were there, which CEO guy do you remember comes up to your mind if I ask you? Which one will you tell me?
No, but it's exactly it. You know, it's when you take look. I bring. Is there Marco? Is there any way here I can share my screen if I hit share?
Yeah,
Screen?
absolutely. There's on
Yeah,
the
I got
bottom
it. I got it.
share
I
screen.
got it. Let's see. It's okay. There are 3 elements.
There you go.
You see in my screen?
It's
Is it
it's
is it
glitching.
flickering or is it
Yeah,
okay?
yeah. It's flickering.
It's flickering. Hold on a second. Oh, it says that the Chrome has a bug.
If you don't mind, for me it's okay. Refresh, please, and
Okay.
then you can join us again. No problem. So, how are you doing? Please let me know if you have any questions to ask to Alon, please. Okay, there you go.
All right. Let's try it again. No, it's flickering again, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. That's okay. I'll just talk about it. Okay.
Okay, perfect.
I break it down to three elements, right? The emotional relevance. Why is it so important to us? There's three elements. The first one is to stand out, right? You want to stand out somehow. You want to be different. Whatever you're selling, whatever you're offering, you want to stand out. Okay. And there are many ways to do it. Obviously, the most impactful one is through emotional experience. But you can stand out by giving somebody a hug, or you can stand out by saying something a little different, or, there's so many stories around us. So the first one is to stand out. The second one is to make an impact. If you didn't make an impact, people are going to forget you. Whatever you do, it doesn't matter, but, make the impact. And the third element is to get personal. Let me ask you something interesting. Do you remember when Coke came out with their campaign with the names on the bottles?
Absolutely.
Did you go look for a bottle?
I to be honest, no.
That's okay.
Yeah,
But
yeah, but I remember, of course.
okay, but I can guarantee you, most people who are listening, or most people anywhere right now, will remember exactly when, you know what, even if they didn't specifically went to look for it, when they opened the fridge in the store and they saw the bottles, they kind of peeked to see if they see their name, right?
Yeah,
Okay, Coke knows all these elements. This
absolutely.
is how they got personal with you, right? Because that increases the brand loyalty. Now, all these three elements, right, that I mentioned, to stand out, to make an impact, and to get personal, right, are for one thing, to be remembered. That's it. You just ask yourself, which CEO are you going to remember? The one that stood out, the one that made an impact, and the one that got personal, right? So this is kind of my philosophy and my recipe, if you may, when I work with individuals or companies about emotional relevance.
So you made me you remember me about a story the guy made told us. It was I will say 20 years ago. He told me this. We were in a group in a waiting room, and he told about a job interview to work on a bank. I think they were all of them, the clients on the table sitting. Okay, and they were talking at his time or her time about them, and all of them were sitting. Okay, my name is la la la. I do this that, that. And it came the turn of one who stood. He stand up and he talked. Who got the job just by being different?
Yeah. A couple of years ago, I was working with a company, a media company, right? And we went for a conference. By the way, in Houston, Texas, not Austin, in Houston. So for people who are listening, Marco and I spoke before the show about somebody he met, and he told him he lives in a small town called Austin, Texas, and Marco thought it was Houston, Texas. And by the way, Marco, what I just did now, when I mentioned Houston, Texas, I triggered that little emotional experience we had, 30 minutes ago. This is the power of it, right? Now I'm
Absolutely,
getting a little bit closer to you. You will be,
absolutely.
you will be much more open to be more personal with me once I do
Absolutely.
these
Yeah,
things.
yeah, absolutely.
So we went to a conference there, and the concept was we were a media company, and we were pitching to some executives from different retail companies like Target, Starbucks, Kohl's, CVS, big chains in the US, big chains, retail. And you paid in order to have the ability to pitch to them, right? What are you selling? And they were sitting, about 9 of them, in a boardroom, right? And you had 15 minutes to pitch to them. They were sitting there for about 5 hours during the day, and every 15 minutes, another company would come in and pitch to them. Almost every 15 minutes. You had 10 minutes in between to prep, right? Our slot was the first slot, 15 minutes, right after lunchtime. Now, this is Houston, Texas. You know the weather in Houston, Texas usually is very hot, right? So we go into the room 10 minutes before, and we're prepping, and then all these big executives start coming in. And as they come in, already I'm doing my thing, that is a little different. I get them a little loosen up. Hey, how you doing? Oh, I saw this there. I saw this, whatever, just chit chat, right? And as I'm about to start, I'm saying, guys, you know what? It's really nice out. Why don't we take it outside? Now, mind you, they are cooped in. They are closed, locked in this room for hours, right? Beautiful day outside. Now, Marco, they don't know that I already set up a beautiful round table in the shade, okay? In the shade, ready to go. They don't know that. But I did. I took the chance and I said, right before we start, and all I needed is one person to say, hey, not a bad idea. Now, again, remember the corporate facade. So they look at each other. Are we allowed to do it? And then one person said, I would love, kind of scared. Oh, I would like to go. That's it. That's all I needed. You know what? Let's do it. Listen, the organizers of the conference, right, knew that we were there because I made sure that they know. So the video camera came, and then they posted it online, and everybody was talking about it. Everybody was talking about the company that did that. I don't care they didn't mention my name, right? We got amazing leads and amazing business from this because we created something a little different and we were personal. By the way, I didn't use my presentation because outside I didn't have the screen, right? Which is another thing. We had a conversation and it was much more personal, right? So you're absolutely right. It's how do you do that a little different and get away with it too, by the way.
Yeah. I think it's two things that it's important when we are doing this approach is one, it's to self-awareness. I think it's really important, or you start creating a character which may not be so good at the end. I think at least maybe in the middle term that could bring you some problems. I think because there's a lack of consistency. You can't pretend all the time someone you're not. I think it's and preparation, because even though let's be spontaneous. What I used to heard from people from the performative arts, it's what they say often is improvisations gives a lot. They give us a lot of work.
It's true. It's true. You got to be quick. You got to be able to respond. Not everybody can do it, Marco. Not everybody can do it. But everybody can be aware and apply it to some degree. Okay. On Friday, I was sitting with a customer on email campaign that they're doing to their customers. They send this email to the potential customers, and they got a certain open rates. You know what open rates are on email, right?
Yeah.
So they asked me to sit with them and apply some emotional relevance elements into the email. It's another form of communication. And so we sit down, and here's something interesting. We've been taught until now, when you send an email, think about what do you want the people there right? Are we back?
Yeah, you're back.
Okay.
There's there's something missed. So let's go to the open rate. And by the way, let me explain to those who are watching us, watching what is open rate. Maybe some of them they don't know. Open rate it's the uh, ratio between how many emails you sent and how many of them were open. Okay, for instance, if you send 100 emails and 10 people open the email, that means a 10% open rate ratio. Okay, so
So there's open rate and there's click through rate, how many
yeah,
people clicked on it, etc. You measure everything,
absolutely.
everything you can, because eventually what you want is people to read the email and call you back or etc. But we've been taught that when you write an email, a script, an email, sales email or whatever it is, we've been programmed to think of what do we want the outcome to be, right? If you ask anybody, what do you want the outcome to be? I want them to call me back. I want them to click on this, right? And I'm saying, before you write the email, what do you want them to feel when they read the email? Do you want them to feel nervous? Maybe you want them to feel nervous because if you get them nervous, they'll be more, encouraged to actually do something about it. You want to get them scared? You want to get them happy, right? What do you want? Because that specific feeling will actually be a bigger trigger for action. Now, I'll tell you something else, Marco. This COVID-19 that we're in right now, it really does bring everyone to be able to speak about emotions more, because we're all very vulnerable right now. We're all by ourselves, right? We're all stuck for a long time. People are losing their jobs, right? Can't go anywhere. Restaurants are closed, and you're at home, and we don't have that sense of belonging, right? That we need. We need, not want, need as human beings, right? And so all of a sudden you see online people are sharing emotions freely. For me, is Disneyland. I love it.
Absolutely. And there's one thing maybe because we miss that togetherness thing that you're talking so many times. Um, I don't know if we need a little more communication, and I think we need a little more something to express to the other side what we are feeling. I don't know if I made myself clear. I mean, because for instance, one thing someone said once some weeks ago, pay attention when you're doing live streaming, for instance, or podcasting. You should put some more energy on your communication because there's the personal contact, the 3D contact missing. So
Marco, if you and I bring more energy of our personality into here, it's going to be an explosion, Marco. No. But listen, it's true. One of the things that I work with people before they go and do a presentation. So we talked about email. I'll talk to you a little bit about presentations. First of all, I don't like when people call it presentation, because think about it for a second. When you present, it's one way. You are presenting to them, and you're seeing it like this. You don't want that. You want a two-way channel of communication, which is much more valuable. So I tell salespeople and whoever it is who are nervous about going and talking to customers, take a minute, close your eyes, and think for a second that it's 7 p.m. and you finished a long day at work. You went to a bar, and you're sitting on the bar. You don't want to talk to anybody. You're tired, and you got a cold beer. What's your favorite beer, Marco?
well, I'm not. There's a small beer. I think it's 20 centiliters or something here. Call it mini, which is nice to drink while you're eating some peanuts. or some Portuguese dishes. Really good. You should come here. Eh,
As soon as I can, I will come.
it's really nice because it stays fresh all the time because it's really tiny. And then you drink fresh. You ask another one, and then you ask another one.
So let's say, Marco, you finished a long day, you're tired, and you go into a bar, and there are peanuts on the bar. Okay?
Absolutely.
You start eating the peanuts, and you get thirsty, and you order three minis because you know it's small. You need at
Yeah,
least.
yeah.
Okay. Now imagine for a second you're actually holding it in your hand, and you feel the cold of it, right? So imagine you're there, and all of a sudden, the guy next to you turns around, and by mistake, right, they literally throw the minis off the bar, spills it for you by mistake. And you look at him, and he looks at you, right? Hold on, look at me for a second, Marco. Okay. You look at him, and you say, what? And he goes to you, I'm sorry, man. I'm really sorry. Hey, bartender, get my friend here three minis on me. I'm sorry. Okay? Then you start talking and you say, oh, my name is Marco. And I say, I'm Alon. What are you doing here? And you tell him what you're doing here. What do? You tell him what you do. This is the vibe that I want you now to get into a sales meeting. Not, okay, I'm going to check the box and do this and all. No. Be you. Be relaxed. Talk to people as if they're the person next to you in the bar. Right? So it's a state of mind, like you said, Marco.
So good. So good. And now we don't have that personal feeling. Because I don't know, maybe some people now I think you still have meeting people who wants to talk with you, to keep doing business, keep doing your things, consultancy, your trainings, and everything. Do you have this feeling of people while are talking with you? Oh, there's something missing here. They notice while they are on the fly. They are missing this, and on the other side, people who contact you because they want to fill that hole they that came up because of this lacking personal contact.
Yeah, those are for me, those are the best clients, and I'll tell you why. Because you are aware of it, right?
Absolutely.
If you are aware of it, that's great. The biggest challenge is when people they're not aware of it, right? I was speaking to a friend yesterday, and she said to me, "Listen, our CEO is somebody that I would love for you to work with, but the problem is he's not aware of it. We get customers, and other people say, don't bring him to the meetings, right? We don't like his vibe. He pushes people away, and the secret is if you're aware of it, right? That means you are willing to be guided how to at least be aware of it, right? So yes, I have some stories. Unfortunately, sometimes people's ego is larger than themselves, and those are the people that I would rather not work with. But even this morning, I had a call with a customer of mine who told me, listen, he's a lawyer, okay, and he said, listen, I don't know how to sell. I don't know how to present this. I don't know how to do all these things. So I sat with him to prepare him for next week. He's got a presentation that he's doing online for a conference, right? I helped him build a story. I helped him, how to set it up. And even the process, he just doesn't know how to do it. Okay, but he's aware, and he tells me, Alon, I'm following your lead. And if he doesn't agree with something, that's fine. We can talk. But he's aware of it. And I think that's the biggest thing. Think to yourself, ask people around you, right? Challenge yourself and ask people that you trust and be aware. Yeah, it's a good question, Marco.
Because I think I talked about this the other day because for me, it's really tough to trying to sell something that I truly believe, and they constantly argue. Okay, well, and if and I saw something, and it really sucks my energy.
Remind me not to hire you as a sales guy next time, okay? Look, here's something interesting. There are many, many sales training companies, right? I don't replace sales training. No. There are sales techniques that you have to have. There are sales methodologies that you have to know. Selling is an art, right? It's an art. What I do, I just add another element to it, right? Just another personal, emotional element to it. Keep doing what you're doing. I'm just going to insert a few elements there that will help you in closing rates, right? And you know what closing rates is?
Yeah,
And in stickiness, meaning how long your customer is staying with you, right? Because you established that emotional, personal relationship. So I'm adding another layer. Now, again, when I work with individuals, small business owners, it's a lot of things like how to write the right email, how to prepare for that presentation so I can get personal. I have a friend of mine here who has a small business for lights, LED lights,
hmm,
right? And he knows he's a machine. He doesn't see, personalities. He sees business, and
numbers.
he's awesome at that. He really is great at that. But now he runs his own business, so he needs to wear another hat of being more personal, right? So you're right, but you have to be aware of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So there's because context. I'm a truly fan of context. For me, it's so good to understand the context. Um, for instance, uh, that buyer's journey, the different stages of buyer's journey. Can we have some? I don't know if it's tricks, some ways to understand. I think putting questions is a good way to understand the other's context, right?
Yes. So, first of all, let me close this because I think the lights. Everybody saw my beautiful backyard, right?
I
Okay.
think it's better.
Finally. So, you talked about asking questions. Asking questions is a great selling technique, right? Because you want the customer to talk more, speak more about them, not you talk about them, right? You want them to talk about them. Then you reveal more things. But this is not what I teach. This is a selling technique. What I can work with you on when you ask the questions, how to make it personal a little, how to make it emotional, that it makes you memorable, that it makes you a little different, that it resonates deeper, right? So the impact of it is that much bigger. So you have better chances on selling. This is just one example, right? Now, you said improvisation. I'll tell you a story. I've been talking to somebody, never mind a company, that I've tried to sell them a service, and the guy is in Boston. Okay, and during the conversation, he said something around, something around where people know your name, where everybody knows your name. Okay, do you remember back in the '90s there was a show on television called Cheers?
Well, everybody
They
knows
know
your
your
name.
name. Exactly. Now, here's the thing. The bar where it was filmed is in Boston. It's in Boston. Famous. And so when he said it, I said to him, you said it because you live in Boston, right? And he goes, no, I don't get it. What are you talking about? I said, you said where everybody knows you. And I started singing. Sometimes you want to go. Where? And he goes, what? Oh, he said, oh, okay, now I get it. Yeah, no, I didn't mean it, but yeah, okay. So this was a little emotional anchor. Okay. Now get this. I sent him a thank you email 2 days later. And I sent him the email. At the end of the email, I said something, I would love to come meet you in the city where everybody knows your name. So I brought it back, context. Okay. The next day he responded to me. He said, I'm actually going to be in Atlanta in a couple of weeks. So let's meet there. Thank you very much, blah, blah, blah. And then P.S. I'm sure Atlanta is where everybody knows your name. Okay. All I did was, I set it up. I triggered it. Same selling technique, but using the different elements of that emotional, right? We laughed together. I sang to him, right? Now he's more open to talk to me about everything. Now he's sharing with me what's going on in the company that he works, what's going on, blah, blah, blah. So it gives me better chances to actually win the business. So you talked about context. That was a good example of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we should go get to basics, to that personal thing. I have an there's a expression here. We used to call it o costume, which this means when you go for instance to the barber shop, to the coffee, they already know what you want, and they ask you. It's the costume. It's the usual. And one day, I was talking about this with someone, and she said to me, "Oh, I don't like to be asked about that." And then I replied to her, "Well, if you don't like to be asked about the usual, the guy who's on the other side knows that your usual is not to be asked the usual."
Exactly. See, there's another interesting element, Marco. You reminded me of something. As I told you, one of the biggest important thing with every type of communication is to establish a two-way channel of communication. Two-way, not one way, not you just sending emails, not you just two-way channel of communication. It's not easy, especially for small business owners. Once you establish that channel of communication, right, your goal is to pour in as much valuable, personal, emotional, relevant information. Relevant. Now, here's another element. Once you establish that trust, we as people, we like to know that they are thinking of us, right? So here's what I did with one customer of mine a couple of years ago, which was a restaurant, a Middle Eastern restaurant here in Atlanta, right? They opened the restaurant and they started establishing the two-way channel of communication with the customers. Everybody would come, they would ask them for feedback, right? So now that they're communicating with us, they would give them text messages with coupons, specials. It's constantly two-way channel of communication. And then we came up with an idea. The handle of the door. Marco, the handle of the door. Once a month, I asked the guy who owns the restaurant to change the handle of the door. 1 month, it was a tomato. 1 month, it was the shape of a cucumber. 1 month, it was a falafel ball, right? Every month, it would be different. And we would stand back and watch. People would come and they would reach to the handle and you'd see their face. They would go, huh. But that's all you want. That's all you want, that little thing that in the back of the mind, the owner is thinking of them, right? He changed something because maybe somebody, hey, he wanted me to feel different. He wanted me to. So there are a lot of elements in there, but it's a good example of, as I mentioned, that relationship that you want to establish.
Amazing. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Marco, here's a bigger challenge these days. The bigger challenge is online. Because when we meet face to face in a room of few people, right, we all touch the same table. We all look at the same view through the window, right? There are non-verbal communication things that are happening in the room that we all see. But when you're online, there's a gap. And the gap is for the togetherness, right? And that impact, that emotional feeling. When you're in a room together, you're together. But when you're online and everybody sits different places, then it's very hard to create that sense of togetherness, right? And there are ways to do it. There are ways to do it today, not just technologically, but also psychologically to do it in the online world. As a matter of fact, since you asked, Marco, you asked, right? You just asked. I am doing online sessions every 2 weeks to talk about that online world of emotional relevance. And tomorrow at noon Eastern time, which is, 6 p.m. in Portugal?
Almost 10 p.m.
No, right now it's almost 10, but so it's 5, I need 5 hours, so 5 p.m. 5 p.m. tomorrow in Portugal time, I'm doing an online session about that specific thing, the feeling of togetherness. It's free. I love helping people. I think you have the link. You can share it, Marco.
Yeah, I'm on it. It's on the screen, and I'm gonna put it on the comments so people can join you.
And it's interactive and it's fun and it's just walks through some elements and techniques how to bridge that gap of feeling together. Because when you feel together, right, then the message resonates much better, right? People attention is much higher, and then people will be more productive, right? So there are many ways to do it, and tomorrow I'm going to talk about it with my friend Jesse Tedeschi. You met Jesse?
Yeah.
So every 2 weeks I do a session and I bring a guest. Every time is a different element of the emotional relevance. So feel free to sign up.
Well, I will. I already made it.
I know you did, and I'm looking forward to it.
Perfect. Well, we are always almost reaching the end. But before that, I need to ask you, as usual, to my guests, your suggestion. And which suggestions I'm asking? One professional that you think that people should listen, watch, read. One book, okay? A habit you have, which should be healthy and legal.
Okay.
A tool you recommend, and because, well, we still with some isolation, a movie and a series.
Oh my God. Okay, you'll have to walk me through the list because I don't
Okay.
remember all of it.
First one, professional. Someone kind of a shout out.
Yeah, I like Simon Sinek.
Okay.
I like Simon Sinek. I like his message of start with the why, but I also like his message because it's very personable and very aligns with some of the things that I talk about. And also, when I see Simon Sinek speak, it's him. You can tell there's no, So that's one. A book.
Yeah.
There's a book that I read not too long ago. It's called Hug Your Customer.
Well, I have it.
Oh, you do?
Hug your haters.
No. Hug Your Customers
I-
by Jack Mitchell.
Oh no, sorry. I have the one I have is Hug Your Haters by Jay Bear.
Oh, okay. So this guy has a clothing store.
Sorry.
No. As long as it's Marco, as long as it's hugging.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where is it? As long as it's hugging, right? You're about to get hugged. Yes. As long as it's hugging, it's good. Jack Mitchell, basically, when I read his book, it was like, oh my God, this guy speaks my language, right? He took the whole virtual hug concept of the customer service and formulated it. It's like a formula for his business. He's been very, very successful. Okay. Well,
Perfect.
the next one.
Habit.
Habit that is legal.
and healthy.
Oh, and healthy. Listen, I'll tell you, it will be boring, but I will tell you. Walk. People don't like to run. Walk. Get your podcast, earphones, get something. Just walk. It's healthy. You get your clear your mind. I know I'm not making this up. It's not my idea, but it helps me a lot. I try to do it primarily in the mornings.
Perfect. A tool.
A tour.
Tool. Something like you use a calendar, whatever.
Oh, okay. You know, I'm going to surprise you
Okay.
because
Surprise.
it's a tool for me and it's old school. You ready?
Absolutely. Okay.
I have a calendar that every day is a different word.
Oh,
Okay? So this is how I enrich my vocabulary. Okay? Every today's word is glabrous. Don't ask me what it means, Marco. Don't ask me what it means.
what does he mean?
Smooth, especially having a surface without hairs or projections.
Okay.
Okay? So glabrous. But you know what, Marco? After the session, please, I want to ask you a small favor.
Okay.
Send me your address. I'm going to send you a gift.
Oh,
And here's another thing. You're going to think of me at least for a year, right? At least for a year. It's a great idea for gifts, by the way,
okay. Yeah, it is.
conceptually. Okay, next question.
A movie.
Wow, a movie. I love movies. I love movies. I haven't seen one for a while because of the coronavirus. So I'm going to go classics. Back to the Future.
Okay.
One, the first one. Back to the Future. Yes.
Perfect. And a Siri. Cheers.
A what?
a Siri.
A Siri?
Yeah, like Netflix series.
Ah,
No?
a series. Yes, a series. Okay. I have one. I have
Cheers.
one. I've been watching it now. I love it. And it's called Outlander.
Okay.
Outlander it's British. It's kind of when somebody explained it to me, it was kind of weird. Somebody going back in time, but most of the series takes place in the 17th, 18th century. Okay, and I love that period of time. And there's the woman there, the main character. Her nickname is Sassenach, which I love dearly. Anyways, great series. It's just getting a little long, like 5 seasons already, but Outlander is one that I've recently enjoyed very much.
Perfect. Well, thank you for your suggestions. And now, Alon, how people can find you on the internet?
Great. So alonzaibert.com. If you want, I can send it to you right now.
Please.
Alonzaibert.com is my website. And there's also on my website, there's a blog. Okay. My blog is called 2 Weeks Notice, a touch of emotional relevance every couple of weeks. Right? Every 2 weeks, you get in your email a little story, something that just like the door handle will get you go, huh, yeah, right? And I'm glad that a lot of people find it helpful, encouraging, make them smile a little, and trigger something in their mind. So feel free to sign up there. That's my website. And feel free, even if you want, my email is afz@alonzaibert.com. I just sent it to you as well. Feel free to reach out. As you know already, I love meeting new people and sharing experiences. Eventually, Marco, as you know, that's what it's all about.
Let me put it on the screen also. Okay, okay. Here we go. Okay, right. So, any final thoughts about emotional relevance?
Yeah, do not be afraid to be you. Do not be afraid to really share, your feelings. And I'm not talking about being at a shrinks and sit down and sharing your childhood memories. No, but tell people what you feel, right? Tell people how you feel because it will impact them on the same way, and you will see, you will feel it, and you'll remember it. Yeah, and a big hug.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Halon, thank you so much for your time. It was a really pleasant and insightful conversation. Thank you. I'm looking forward to watch the webinar tomorrow.
Marco, I cannot thank you enough. Really, this is on a human level. This is just so great. Thank you very much for having me here. I don't know how many. I can't see how many people are on and all that stuff, but I will definitely share it with my network as well. And you have a great show. I really, really enjoyed the time with you, Marco.
Perfect. Thank
I owe
you.
you a hug.
Okay. Feel hugged.
Good.
Let me.
And send me your address.
Yeah, I will for sure. Well, we came to the end. Thank you for those of you. Thank you, Alon. Hope you enjoy it as much as I did. Please, if you are watching the replay and have some question, please let us know on the comments. Tag Alon so he can reach out the question, please. And we keep in touch. Stay safe, stay home, and stay emotional,
There you
relevant.
go.
Emotional, really. Bye bye.
Thank you, Marco. Obrigado.
De nada.
Bye.